Some days they don't want to hug, or, was it about two weeks ago or a week ago? One of the kids was just having a blah day. It was just blah. It didn't matter. I could have said, hey, let's go to Chick-fil-A. Let's go on a shopping spree. Let's not do school today. Let's jump in the pool. Let's fly to Timbuktu. Wouldn't have mattered what I said. It was just a blah day for them. And I understood that. I'm a firm believer in we need to handhold our tween and teen's hand. Welcome back to Homeschooling Through High School. Today we're just going to have a simple chat about tweens and teens and their emotions and how I handle it in our homeschool day and in our life, because it's constantly changing all the time for them. And so I'm warm and cozy. I have my coffee here. And it's cold over here where I am. Well, it's getting cold. And so I have my sweatshirt on, and I just wanted to pause. Who makes these things? I had to put a little cut right here because this little area is always so constricted, I feel. So I made a little cut right there. So just in case you see it and you want to comment, yes, I know it's there. I had to cut it to fit my head through. But let's have a little chat today. Thank you for joining me, taking your valuable time to be with me. And let's talk about just the emotions that happen during this season. So I have a sixth grader. She's 11. I have a seventh grader. She just turned 13 2 weeks ago. And I have my son. He is 14. He is in the ninth grade. My name is CJ, and I've been through their stage of life before. So on that note, I'm just happy that they are here with me so I can help them regulate and I can nurture them through this process, and their dad can be involved. And when my in-laws are around, they can help out and we can work through this together. My kids are fantastic. Now listen, don't get it twisted. They have their moments. They are going through an emotional roller coaster right now. And I get it because I did the same thing. I tell them a lot of my stories constantly when I see that there is a breakdown in our communication, or maybe they might be a little edgy because of hormones. And they are also trying to find their way. They're also trying to figure out, I'm a teenager now, and so maybe I can do this versus that. I want to share with you today, what does that look like and what's happened in our household. And so how do you deal with these emotions during your homeschool day? I mean, they quite frankly can interrupt, right? So here are a few things that we have done just a few weeks ago even. One of my kids was having a blah day. Couldn't explain why, couldn't tell me why, nothing why. And so I understood that because quite frankly, I have blah days too, and I can't tell you the reason to it. And after a little bit of process and elimination, we figured out that that child just needed to, lay down. That's what they chose. And they went to lay down, went to check on them. I don't know, about 10 minutes later, they were knocked out. So maybe it was sleep that they needed, right? There have been some days where I just paused and said, you know what? Why don't we step outside? Why don't we go for a walk? You want to take a quick drive? I've stopped history. I have stopped Bible. And I said, you know what? Let's chat for a minute, excuse me. And taken, a child aside and just chatted with them to see what was going on. They are on hormonal overload. And think about this. Some days they talk your ear off. Some moments, or I should say some moments or seconds, right? They talk your ear off. Next minute, they're just like, what'd you say? Or where'd you say the mayonnaise was? Although you told them 3-4 times where it was, right? What was that? I mean, they're forgetful, right? And each child is different. So some of these things I'm sharing with you may not apply to your child or mine. But one thing that we can say is that they have so many emotions and they don't know what to do with them. They might need to go outside and get some vitamin D. They might need to just be still. They might need to get away from all of the noise and the chaos that might be going on around and go sit in their room just for a moment, or go sit on the couch, or just lay down, or go outside, jump in the pool, take a walk, go get the mail, whatever it is. They might just need that extra little pick-me-up of something sweet like a smoothie, or half a cookie, or hey, a piece of chocolate just to give them a boost, right? They might need that hug from you, even though they don't hug you back. They might need that. I give a lot of those sometimes here. I'll have a child or two say, I just need a hug. And I give it to them. They don't hug me back. They might need to just chat, and keep on chatting. And you have no idea what they're talking about with Minecraft, For my son, it's video editing, or he just told me about building a computer from scratch, and I was like, oh, okay, so what's what's that, and what's this? And he was like, yeah, this is my dream. I'm like, okay, let's you want to explain this to me? It just looks like a lot of Lego pieces, kind of confusing with a whole bunch of numbers and letters. I don't know, but you need to be there to listen. And they might want to talk to you about something else, what happened at the birthday party that they went to at their neighbor's house. And some days they might sit in complete silence in your car. And, it's up to you to have a conversation with them, and then also to know not to have a conversation with them. So you need to feel them, but don't take it personally. Think about, best way you can, what you may have been going through hormonal-wise in those years. And I know that for some of you, it could be a touchy time period when you were a tween or a teen. I was at middle school. I was away from my family until 4 o'clock or something in the afternoon. And whatever I was going through, I was on my own at school and just listening to what everybody else was happening with them and whatever they wanted to tell me. It's back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I had no space to think about what was happening with my body and my mind, because everybody was just sharing it. All the middle schoolers were sharing, and all the high schoolers were sharing. And so whatever they said, I just kind of put it in my mind, and it just kind of stuck there. Attitudes, or the time of the month for females, or how to speak to your parent, whatever it was, how to eat, how not to eat. I mean, the list can go on and on. It's a tough time. And even though your kids may be homeschooled, because I do understand that there may be some folks here that are not homeschooling, for those of you who are at home with your kids, it's still a tough time. It's still a tough time for them. I spoke about this in another video, that people think it's okay to say, oh, wait until he does this, and you better watch out. You have 2 girls? I just don't get it. I think that they need to keep that to themselves. However, when my kids were younger, and people would say these comments to me, I just purposed in my heart not to let it get the best of me, sit and, marinate in my brain. I just said, you know what? I'm going to take this time and continue to walk alongside them, knowing that I was a teenager too, and I went through all of these emotions that they're going through. Some days they don't want to be hugged. It's okay. Some days they don't want to, or some moments I'll say they don't want to talk. Because of whatever reasons. My son's voice is changing and he catches himself sometimes. And that might be, something that he's uncomfortable with. A lot of times we laugh it off, but, it's cool to see and hear that season for him as his voice is changing. But, there's other emotions that go along with his puberty and my daughter's puberty and their emotions. They're all over the place some days. And I just feel that we need to be there for them, and we don't need to take it personally. I've asked some well-seasoned homeschooling moms as well, tell me about your son and your daughter as they went through puberty. How did you keep up with that? What did you do? And every person that I spoke to came to the general consensus that you need to meet them where they are at that time. Do not take it personally. Know that they are going through, almost like a midlife crisis per se. So a mid-teen crisis. I don't know if is that a thing? But anyway, they're going through stuff. It's funny because for my son, I read a lot about hitting the age of 14. Hitting the age of 14 is like a whole new world for some reason. It's almost like they think, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to be an adult. For the 14-year-old mind, and it could be 13, 14, 15, okay? A little wiggle room there. It's like, wait a minute, I'm still a child, but I'm a teenager. But I'm also soon going to be capable of driving a car, or, voting, or, wow, getting married one day and having a family. And there's something in their brain that kind of like teeter-totters, right? And so I took my son to basketball practice, and I usually just kind of go in, just kind of watch for a little bit, and then go run an errand and come back. This particular day, there was just nowhere to sit down because it is a small home gym. To the right of me was a gentleman sitting down, and then 2 seats to the right of him were 2 kids, and then to the left of me, the rest of the basketball players. So anyway, J3 ran out onto the court and started practicing, and he's practicing and practicing, and he looks over at me because I'm just standing kind of right by the door and next to this gentleman, and he says, "Sorry, Mom." It's okay. I'm good. And I knew what he was talking about. He was wondering why the gentleman to the right didn't get up and give me his seat. So a few minutes more go by, and J3 looks over at me again, and he just goes like that. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm good. He walks over to me in the middle of him practicing, and he says, I'm so sorry, Mom, that he's not getting up to have you sit down. And I said, oh, J3, don't worry about it. It's okay. Go back. Go back. And so he goes back. Anyway, I think we're 5 minutes into rehearsal now, and the gentleman gets up and walks out, and J3 runs over to me as well. His coach is looking at him like, where are you going? And he says, hey, Mom, you can sit down now. And my heart was just warm and fuzzy and crushed that he would think so much of me, to make sure he took care of me, to make sure now I knew that I could sit down. That was my hug for the day. That was my I love you. You know, some days he doesn't want to be hugged. Some days he gives me this little half hug, and that's okay. It's okay. There's a lot of emotions going on, you guys. I have learned not to take it personally anymore. And I will never, ever forget that that was his current love language that he was speaking to me, is to make sure that I was okay. Never will I forget that. And I just encourage you to find those type of moments when your tween or your teen is doing something else against what they've been doing. You know, I remember all of my kids used to like hold onto my leg or hug onto my leg as if to never ever let me go. And now it just looks differently, right? I know that some of the days are just hard. They're just hard on moms, because you think to yourself, oh wow, they're growing up for sure. You know, I have a 6th grader, a 7th grader, and a 9th grader. Who would have thought? I never thought that getting out of that diaper stage, I thought it was always going to be that way. And now, in this particular stage where they don't even know the emotions that they're having, right? So I just wanted to come and chit chat and kind of ramble a little bit about tweens and teens and their emotions. Sometimes they just need that break. You know, some things that we've done is, let's say that I notice that we're getting into, you know, a banter that's not gonna go well at all. I learned this from a convention several years ago from Dr. Kathy Lip. Maybe you've heard this as well. This is what I now say. I love you too much, daughter or son, I love you too much to keep arguing with you. Although we don't really argue. It's just kind of like a, you know, and so I'll say, you know what? I think we need to pause for a moment. This is not going well, and we just need to take a time out, I guess. I love you too much to keep going back and forth like this. So maybe it's me. And if it is, let me take a moment. Maybe you need to take a moment, right? And let's rethink this conversation. And let's just come back in a moment or two. And let's revisit this conversation in 30 minutes or end of day or whatever you decide. I've done that and it has worked wonders. So maybe you could try that. I love you too much, Johnny, to continue on. This conversation's not going to go anywhere. So let's revisit it in 30 minutes. I'm going to step outside, get some vitamin D. Or, you know, why don't we go for a drive, family? Let's just pause. Let's be still. Let's read the Bible. Let's pray. Maybe try that. You know, there's all other types of things that you can use as well. There's vitamins that are great to help boost your child's puberty season, emotional season. We are supposed to train them in the things of the Lord and nurture them. And when they are old, they will not depart from it. And that's just not like the gospel and their salvation and all of that. It goes far beyond that. Think about the book of Proverbs and how it trains people to figure out different types of friends and people they need to be around and making wise decisions. All of those things are part of this emotional roller coaster and walk that they need to be on. I want to, the best way that I can, encourage you to breathe, relax, and pick your head up and start again. What are you doing? Another photo bomb or video bomb. I don't know what this is. Okay. Anyway, I just want to encourage you on those days that it's just that tough to just breathe. And if you need to stay in bed a little bit longer or go back and lay down or maybe phone a friend, call out to Jesus. pray. Listen to that favorite song that you have that gets you through, or just be still. And as much as it's easy for me to say you're not the only one, sometimes you don't want to hear that either. But do your best to just pick your head up and reset and start again. Yes, think about the good old days, but do not sit there and just ponder in them and let your emotions just go wild, because that's what the enemy wants us to do. And we need to teach our kids that as well. Yes, it's okay to cry. Yes, it's okay to, just have your moments. But the enemy wants you to just keep dwelling in it and feeding all of these lies. And so teach your kids how to get out of that space. I've taken some tips from some folks, and one of them I thought was just interesting, but it works. And I shared them with all of my kids, but one of them uses it, and it works for them. And that is to take that emotion or that thing that came into your mind that you don't want in there, okay? And physically get yourself up, go to the bathroom, kind of toss that thought or emotion into the toilet and flush it. Poof, gone. And that might just be a little mechanism for somebody, and it works. And it works for one of my kids. And so that might be something that you can take away. Exercise. If they like to run, if they have a gymnastics class or basketball in my son's case, or whatever it is, or quick sprint down the street, have them go do that. Skating, whatever it might be, maybe they need to double up on that. So have them exercise. It is good for the brain and the body to reset. Playing their instrument an extra 5 minutes, taking a bath or shower. Eliminate processed foods, okay? Eliminate sugar. Drink more water. And then on the flip side, maybe they do need that bite of chocolate. Maybe they do need just a quick bite of chocolate. Or you need to jump in the car and yes, go get a little, bite of ice cream and share it together. Jump in the car, turn on their favorite song, turn it up loud for a little bit and drive. Drive around the corner, drive 5-10 minutes, come back. You've resetted yourself. Ask them what is behind that emotion. If they'd like to talk, why? What is going on inside of your heart? Let's pray. Or let me pray for you. Let me pray for you. Give them a shoulder hug. Give them a shoulder tap. Put your hand on their shoulder. That's a great little tip also that I learned and I used when my kids were smaller, kind of to bring them back into line, I guess we'll say, is just a little hand on the shoulder to kind of, oh yeah, that's right. I need to, stop that action that I'm doing or whatever. Why not write them a quick little note? It could be on a sticky note. My girls have a sticky note that I wrote just a quick little note on. And I mean, the sticky note it needs to be thrown in the garbage, but they like it, so they're keeping it. And it's on their bathroom mirror, right? And it's some form of encouragement for them. Write a letter and put it on their bed when they don't expect it. Just change the scenery. Maybe the room you're in is too gloomy and they need to go somewhere else. Change the scenery, kind of like I did here. Just change the scenery a little bit. Speak to them in a nice, gentle voice. Change your tone. Even drop your voice to a whisper. All of these things, some of these things, from when they were younger that you used. You just have to tweak it just a little bit. A soft answer, turneth away wrath, and you can use that same principle throughout your whole life. And so for your tween or your teen, you can use that as well. Simply say, hey, let's reset. Just do that, try that, and see what happens. Read a Bible verse together, or find one that the two of you can share, and maybe you have one for each child, or you have one for your whole family, and just recite that Bible verse, right? There are so many other things that we can add to this list. I hope these were helpful to you, and you can add your own as well. You can even say, you know what? We're gonna watch one of our favorite little sitcoms or cartoons or whatever it is. Let's take 20 minutes and let's go do that. That's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna pause for a minute. Let's grab our lunch and let's sit and watch our favorite video or right now media program or listen to an audio, whatever it is that you need to do to reset. A few other things that makes sense during this time period of emotional roller coasters is for them to see that you have moments that you can share with them also. Okay? Let them see that you are human. Yes, you're super mom. Yes, you're super dad. Yes, we know this. But you go through emotions too. And some of these things you can share with them without feeling any guilt. Let them hear about, things that you're anxious about or maybe scared. I'm sitting outside right here, but I don't like lizards and I don't like creepy crawlies, and I'm hoping I don't see any of those types of things around here. And so let them understand that, you have emotions as well, and you know your kids well enough to know how much you can share and when to stop. But they need to see that you are human as well. Let them know that it's okay to cry and they can still come and cry on your shoulder if they need to. Listen, sometimes that's all they need. I was speaking to actually more than one mom not too long ago, and their grown, young adult children just came and crashed and just let it all out and just hung out there. And the mom didn't say a word. They just let that young adult cry. And it's okay. Let them know that it's okay. Sometimes you barely get an answer of them. Sometimes it's just that hard. But they need you. And I know I've said that a million times. They need you. And just when it seems too unbearable, turn your eyes to Jesus and cry out for help and pray over your children. Be there for them, tween, teen, elementary school age or not. I know the days are hard. I know it's hard to parent, it's challenging, but it's so rewarding. It puts a smile on my face, makes my heart just warm. You've got this. And I'm going to just end there. And I hope something that I've rambled along in this video has helped you. All right, till next time. Thank you for spending your time with me.